It is the Matt Mosley Show on the Rogue Media Network. We're so many things. We're like 365 Sports. There's a lot of things that we're involved with, and so people know us as different things. But the sponsors know us as the Mosley Show. So thank you, Central National Bank. Thank you, Ascension. We appreciate you. Love the ads. Love what you guys do. People comment all the time. Central National Bank. And you know what Scotty and I do each day? The gremlins of the world will try to be like, we're going to undermine you today, and your laptop's not going to work. And Scotty and I will literally just go hunt down other laptops and just like tape stuff together and go, we'll live to fight another day. We will show up and we'll do our thing. And Scotty, I even saw him today on Twitter. He said something. I thought, oh goodness, he's not making it easy on me as we get Scotty. I want Scotty credentialed to all Baylor events. I want in all 20, every pass we can get Scotty. That's what I want to do for him. And then occasionally I'll see something on Twitter and I'll be like, okay, that one didn't help. But that's okay, because I want Scotty to be able to speak his mind. Not as much as Cam. Cam spoke his mind too much. I had to send Drake to a minor league baseball thing or whatever that is. I had to send him to Savannah. I sent Cam, I sent him to Boston. I cast him away. Right now, we're going to keep Scotty right here at the mothership, and proud to be with him, and glad to be doing the show. It's with a heavy heart, and I'm gonna address the loss in the Rangers family. Okay, I will address that, but there's something. By the way, Scotty, real quick, if you'll jump on with me, have you noticed? If you noticed recently on Twitter, like for years we were told we saw links, right? We've just been trained to find the link. Okay, here's the story, here's the little Twitter thing, here's the link. I don't know if Twitter's doing this. I'm certainly not capable of doing this. I guess I can accidentally do it by putting a link out there. But have you noticed now when you're looking for the link, it's just like you gotta click on the actual picture. Like the New York Times, like if the Athletic has a story up, there's no little link down there. You've got the, you know what I'm saying? Like this is a relatively new development. Is that a Twitter, like is that an Elon type situation that they think that's easier or it eliminates a step or something? I don't know if I like it yet. It's fine. It's not that big of a deal to me. But do you know what I'm talking about?
I do know what you're talking about. I think it's actually been that way for a minute. I don't mean to challenge you on that, but I think it's been that way for a while.
Yeah.
And it doesn't bother me. It's honestly easier to click a big half the post than scroll and find the hyperlink. So.
All right. Well, I'm glad. The way I'm reporting this is it happened like last night or yesterday. So if you want to say it's been that way for a minute, that's fine. Because in my mind, it's literally a minute. Okay. But before I get to this Rangers situation, I must address this. I'm amazed at some of the questions that were asked in the aftermath of that Packers game here at about 4:15 into the show. We're about 4.5 minutes into the show, Scotty, and just let me say that I don't understand why are people asking Jerry Jones and Micah Parsons can they have a relationship someday? Like, since when did we start caring so much if he plays for the Packers. He plays for the Green Bay Packers. Like, Jerry traded him. Yes, they had a falling out. Yes, it didn't work out. Like, why as writers and broadcasters, why are we suddenly concerned over if these two gentlemen can ever make peace? I'm sitting there the other day with Jerry, And you saw it, Scotty. I winced at that. You showed the video yesterday when Jerry made some weird, Ty is like kissing your sister. It's an old joke, it's an old saying. And Jerry took it to a different level. And I happened to be standing right next to Jerry, and I made some kind of face. And that thing has been passed around so much. But what I don't understand is I like, of all the things we have to cover in sports and worry about, whether Micah and Jerry Jones ever end up being friends or friendly is like such. I mean, like, I cannot tell you how little I care about that. Here's Micah after the game. I didn't even get to talk to my owner, the person that drafted me. I found out through my agent. So to me, that emotional side was pointless, because the same way he called me into his office as a man, he couldn't tell me as a man. So to me, that emotional side was gone. It was more about a respect factor at that point. Jones was asked this morning. I should have sent this to you, Scotty, but I could even maybe do this in Jerry's voice. Jones started out like he was about taking the high road, saying, I really don't respond to that at all. And then came the but. He said, but that phone call thing got stopped when this is Jerry talking about Micah. That phone call thing got stopped when he told me to take his number off my dial. Don't call him anymore. So I quit those calls. Whoa. Man, they watched the Super Bowl together. They used to hang out, and they used to say extremely nice things about each other, and they don't anymore. And I think we ought to honor that, respect it, and move on. And as reporters, like, that's one of the last things we should really be. If you want to talk about, like, well, how'd you think y'all did against Micah? Or what do you think about Micah? But, like, worrying if they could someday be friends, who cares? Like, if you want to worry about, does the fan base not like Micah? Do they love him? What was the reception like? All valid. I just think this thought, but that is funny. The reason I bring it up is because this just happened this morning, that Jerry couldn't leave it alone. And Jerry said that Micah told him to take his phone number out of the. Doesn't that sound like, Scotty? What's that old saying? Keep your, how people, when they're in a fight with somebody, keep my name out of your mouth. Keep my name, or keep my family's name out of your mouth. That's the big saying, right? And that's what Liam Cohen, the coach of the Jags, was telling Robert Saleh, the defensive coordinator of the 49ers, the other day. Keep my name out of your mouth. Scotty, have you ever, now you are still early enough in your media career where some tweets can bug you, and I've seen you do it, and you feel the need to respond sometimes and address it, and you'll get to a point where you just ignore almost everything and anything. But you're still at a point in your career that occasionally a tweet or something somebody says. Now, sometimes I know we want to do that because it's kind of fun to interact with people.
Well, and drumming up engagement is good.
But it is. I'm sure engagement's great, but I would say someone that barely has any followers engaging in responding to them, I don't know, but maybe it's fine. We're not going to get into that. But have you ever said to somebody those words? Keep my name out of your mouth. Has that ever come out of you? Have you ever had to say to anybody, even in church life? People can get nasty in the church.
That's worse than Twitter, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever had to say to a parishioner, keep my name out of your mouth?
No. I
Never had.
generally don't have a problem with people using my name or coming after me because I can handle myself. I have a problem if you come after people I really care about or love.
Nice. Yeah.
Way more so. Like, don't come after other people. So I'm usually quicker to be aggressive if someone's going after someone I care about. Then I can usually handle it if they want to come after me. And I do ignore most of the trolls on Twitter. And every now and again, if I play with my food, it's just fun.
If by the way, I in that context, that's an interesting way to use it. But I don't like the basketball context. The have the play was that you know where that came from? Mark Jones. That I mean, he's I don't know if he invented saying that, but he brought that to basketball or to a wider audience. I'll say I heard him say it because it's like a guy who's dribbling too much or whatever,
Right.
who's playing with his food. Now, what drives me nuts is that then every play-by-play announcer feels like, oh, okay, now that's fair game. I'm going to get on that. Do you know that of all the play-by-play guys, Pete's one of my favorites, and mostly because he's a good friend. No, I actually think he does a good job. But Mark Jones drives me more nuts than just about any announcer out there. And I think I'm sure he's a nice guy, and it has nothing to do with that famous thing where he was saying he needed like handlers or whatever, so people wouldn't come up to him and say stuff. It's the fact I don't love when announcers or broadcasters try to go way out of their way and use all these ridiculous vocabulary words that don't really fit anyway, but it's like you're proving something. Just whatever. And now, if you use a big word and it's very natural for you, then that's fine. But he has this way of he makes a huge show of trying to use SAT words at all times, and it just comes. It's grating to my ear. All right, that's just a little aside. Now, Scotty, we've come to the portion of the show where I used to, if Scotty was listening to me with Randy Galloway back in the day, which he probably heard me occasionally, or I brought Tim Calishaw over, which I don't know if that was a good move because Tim like has asthma and breathes real heavy on the air, but remains a good friend. But he's a very heavy breather. I used to write goodbye letters to people, and we would play some. It's like when I showed you something the other day, Scotty. I don't know if I shared that with you or not. Josh, that guy Pate. What's that guy's name? Josh Pate, who does a lot of college football, and he's good. He's entertaining. He does a nice job. But he does that Sarah McLachlan of the week, and they'll play that sad, soulful music. Well, we would do that.
I remember your goodbye letters. I do remember that.
And I would write a 2 or 3 minute. Oh my gosh, you should have seen me. I would leave the studio and I would go pen, and this would be like a 5-page goodbye letter. Sometimes it was the end of a Mavs season, or somebody would get traded, or something would happen, and I would write a goodbye letter. Even when they shut down Texas Stadium, people like that one. I wrote a whole goodbye letter to Texas Stadium, and Galloway loved it and all that kind of stuff. And Scotty, I almost want to write one. I'm not quite ready to do it. It's too soon. The wounds are too fresh. But saying goodbye to Bruce Bochy is tough because, I don't know him like I knew Ron Washington. Like, Ron's fighting something right now, and hopefully he can come back to managing, but he had to take a leave, and I don't know. I don't know what Ron's status is right now. But Ron Washington had become a friend, and he was very funny, and he was very outgoing. I did not ever get to have that relationship because once Bochy came, I wasn't covering the Rangers. I just wasn't out there as much, if any, really. I would go out there as a fan. But I just thought Bochy was unbelievable. I thought it was like having someone from like an old Western. And even watching him walk out there, Baylor used to have a pitching coach that did that, Scotty. His name was Sid Hudson. He worked for Mickey Sullivan, and he was an old major league pitcher. And I think they both went to, they're both deacons over at Columbus Avenue. I don't know if they're deacons, but I'd always see them sitting up there at the front. And it would take Sid about 10 minutes to make a pitching change or go make a mound visit, because of course Mickey would go out there and make changes. But Sid was the pitching coach, and Sid was already very old by this time, by the mid to late 90s, and it would take him a good long while to get out there. Bochy did that. It took Bochy forever to make a pitching change, but just to listen to him. There are certain managers, and Jimmy Leland was like this. Earl Weaver used to be like this. I used to be around Johnny Oates a little bit when I was a youngster. But those old managers that have been doing it forever. Torrey was like this. Bochy's 70 years old. And you saw Dusty Baker come back and do some really good things with the Astros. Like, they don't ever forget how to manage. The only thing that some of them might have a hard time embracing is the analytics. And Bochy did a good job of that. Bochy did not, he was not allergic. He knew that to succeed in modern baseball, he at least had to listen and look over and listen to all the analytics people and meet with the GM and let them have their say. But what he did was, with a team that we had no clue, even after the season, and they, at the very end of the 2023 season, people forget this, but the Rangers lost the division to the Astros. They went limping home. It was embarrassing. Alex Bregman was clowning on them. And then they started one of the great postseason runs in Major League Baseball history. And Bochy was there with his guiding hand the whole way, and everything he seemed to do, whether it was late in the year. Hey, let's put the kid in here. Let's play Evan Carter. Let's get him out in left field. And that kid started getting on base like crazy. He knew when to play certain players. He knew when to DH guys. He had a great feel. Now, I would say later years, the last 2 years, some of the stuff he did with his relievers and the way he managed them, totally open to criticism. I think he would admit he screwed some things up there. But man, having him, there are just certain people. It's kind of like with Baylor right now. We could think, Scotty, of certain people, whether it be college football, college baseball. There are certain individuals that if you attach them to a program, even like as a consultant or something, it would infuse your program with instant credibility. And the appearance of Bochy was kind of like, oh, wow. Bochy thinks enough of us. It wasn't like we think enough of Bochy. Our reception for him was kind of like, wow, this dude thinks enough of what we're doing to come be a part of this. And that's what it was like. And he was incredible for the Padres, the Giants, and then the Rangers. And so, Scotty, whoever, I think to a certain generation of Rangers fans, and hopefully that's from, 10 years old to much older. Like, this guy instantly became their favorite manager. Now, to some of us who've been pretty close to the organization over the years, we all have our favorites. And I kind of liked, Jeff, what's his name, before Wash. The guy that had come from Bannister, just because I knew him pretty well. But Wash became the guy a lot of us related to and loved. Talking about Ron Washington, because back-to-back World Series, and that was the most success the Rangers had ever had. And that was a huge time. But Bochy knocked down the door and won the World Series. And I just think that there'll be a large segment of the Rangers fandom that I would still say Wash, as far as most beloved, Wash may hold the title, but Scotty, I think, I mean, greatest manager ever, it's got to be Bochy, based on what he did before and then what he accomplished. And the credibility and what he brought was just amazing. So, Scotty, I know you'll want to say a word on Boch. I just think it's a tough day. It's a tough day. I understand it because they just didn't get it done these last 2 years. He's getting on up there, and they're probably ready to kind of figure out what direction they want to go moving forward with the payroll and everything. Unfortunately, I think Ray Davis, and of course we used to put Bob Simpson right there with him, but Ray Davis is the principal owner for the Rangers. I think they want to trim, and I just think the days of them swinging big and making huge deals are kind of behind them. And I don't think Boch wants to be part of some kind of rebuild, revamp situation. So this may be best for both parties. But Scotty, I believe that Bochy will go down as one of the great managers in the history of baseball. And I think the Rangers, given their past and given some of their shortcomings, are extremely fortunate to have spent a few years with him.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I appreciate that the Rangers, this doesn't work in every situation. I appreciate they offered him that front office role. I think that says a lot, right? If you're going to move on from somebody in one position, to offer them an opportunity to stay in the building if they want. And that speaks to the respect he's earned. And of course, when you win the only World Series in club history, you've kind of earned an opportunity to stay as long as you'd like, even if the role changes. So, yep, you said it well. Legend forever. And I think you said it well too, in that Ron Washington will always have a very unique position in my heart. Having grown up in the 90s and aughts, watching so many Rangers teams, I have fond memories of A-Rod and Pudge and Juan Gonzalez and Rafael Palmeiro, and winning like 40 games a season, because that was it. You could hit a bunch of home runs and never beat anybody. So Washington, what he did in 2010 and 2011 will always stand out in my mind as well, as an incredible accomplishment. But for the Rangers to have the worst season ever following a World Series victory last year was tough, and then you didn't significantly improve this year. It is tough. It is tough. And I think hoping the Rangers can hire someone great to become competitive again.
That moment on the way to that first World Series, by the way, you just made me think of it when you mentioned A-Rod, because by the time that moment happened, most Rangers fans hated A-Rod and forgotten that he was a MVP, because he had said some stuff on the way out, like, something about the kids and all those kids, and even that team, by the way, that he left after that, Teixeira and Blaylock,
fun teams.
Elvis, Lucci joined that team. And there were some fun moments on those teams. But then you get to 2010, and for Feliz to strike out A-Rod to end that series, and Colby went out there and gave him an unbelievable start on that day. And that would have been, we're talking 15 years ago. So that's young. Scotty, my gosh, Scotty, that takes you way back.
High school.
High school days. And I love that I got to experience that one game as a fan instead of up in the media. And I got to sit with some buddies behind home plate. And it was that moment. First of all, Colby Lewis you talk about gutsy. What a performance. And he would go out there and he never really looked like he had that great of stuff. And he was kind of overweight. And I don't know if they ever had a better competitor. I don't know if they ever had a bigger competitor. But then for Neftali to come in, that was unreal. And it wasn't that long. And subsequently, that's what it's funny to think about, like how great a reliever he was for a fairly short time, right? And then, of course, it's like, oh, you can't do it anymore. You're moving on. And then he bounced around with other teams over the years. Scotty, we will do some Campus Confidential coming up here in a few minutes. And Scotty, we got a lot of stories going on in college, and there's some funny stuff out there. College football, basketball, whatever we want to do on the college end of things, we'll do it. Scotty, there was a funny story in the NFL that I wanted to bring up because, I am sick of the Micah story will continue to be a story. I'm not sick of, I'll be interested in watching him this year and seeing how he does and seeing how the Cowboys pass rush does. All of that is interesting to me. It's just this whiny Jerry and Micah and disrespect each other, and that's going to get old, and maybe some of that will dial down. Now, what did make me laugh, and this has happened, Scotty, you'll remember, speaking of your high school days, you might have been in junior high when this was going on. So this is 2008, and there's a certain player for the Philadelphia Eagles named Donovan McNabb. And it was before the fateful trade, Easter trade, that he ends up with the team formerly known as the Redskins. And they're playing an overtime game. And they're late in the overtime period and something's happening. I don't remember the exact circumstances, but it later becomes clear that Donovan McNabb did not understand the overtime rules and did not know that there could be a tie. And that was a big story, and I'm sure little Scotty was monitoring that even back in 2008. I was monitoring that for ESPN.com and having to write about all that for the blog that nearly killed me, the NFC East blog, where I had to respond to everything. Anything happened with the Giants, Cowboys, the Redskins or the Eagles, I had to be an authority on all of it and respond to it immediately. Well, it's happened again, Scotty. George Pickens, Cowboys wide receiver who had a great game the other day, walks out of the locker room and admits to Jane Slater for the NFL Network that, I didn't know. I thought when they kicked that field goal to tie it up at the end of that first overtime that we're going to a second overtime. That's funny. He literally thought, he's on the sideline. He's played all this time. He's had this great game. It's a Sunday night. It's late. It's 10:45. It's 11, whatever it is. And Pickens is ready to go. And he sees everybody going out to shake hands. And he's like, whoa, what's going on? What's the deal? And he did not know that an NFL game could end in a tie. Oh, if they only had shootouts. If this were only the I can't believe the NHL, by the way, when it gets to the playoffs, they still, you go overtime period after overtime period after overtime. That thing could go as deep into the night as the goalies allow it to happen. That is an amazing thing. It's the right thing. It's the right thing to do. You can't have a shootout in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Can't do that. But it's an interesting thing. Scotty, do you like that Pickens? However, he's been in the league 4 or 5 years. He's a good player. He's a really good player in the league. Had no clue that these were the overtime rules. Scotty, if you had to guess at this given moment before the other night, how many NFL players shared George Pickens' view? Like that they didn't understand the overtime rules?
60%.
Oh, whoa. Oh, I think that's high. Really?
Nah. I bet 60% are probably in the same camp. I feel like this happens every time there's a draw in overtime. There's players on both teams that are like, I didn't know that was going to happen. I don't think it's something teams discuss with their personnel in that much detail, because honestly, like that, it is so rare.
Man, that's a high. Wow, I was thinking maybe 10%, 60% share with George Pickens. I think they usually don't admit it after a game, like Pickens did. McNabb got killed for that. Like Pickens, I think we're just like, whatever, just kind of laughing. Because he was a quarterback in the face of the franchise, McNabb got crushed over that deal. All right, let me lay this out. That was a big story that Art Briles is coming back to town and speaking at this Texas Sports Hall of Fame. Wow, that's a big story. When that broke, and Scotty was sharing that with me, the guy who wrote it for the Trib, and of course now there's already been a story written in the Houston Chronicle. There'll be other stories. I'm surprised ESPN has not done anything on this yet. So Brice Cherry, who wrote this story, will be on with us at 2:00, and we'll just have a conversation about it. Okay. This is not going to be some huge Mosley's going to get on his show. But this will be, though, we need to discuss, because has there been enough time? Are we in 2025? And literally you can bring Art Briles back and be a headliner in town for a big event? I guess that's what they're doing. It surprised me, and maybe it's fine. Maybe there won't be that much blowback, but I kind of think there might. We'll discuss. That's at 2:00. Next, it's Campus Confidential.
Transform your workspace with Hanomi Ergonomics. From adjustable chairs to standing desks, we provide solutions for comfort and productivity, whether at home or in the office. Improve your posture, reduce strain, and work smarter. Visit us at hanomi.co today. That's HINOMI.co today. Unlock a world of convenience with Mosley Box, your one-stop solution for personalized subscription boxes delivered right to your door. Each box is tailored to your taste. Experience the joy of surprises. Subscribe today at mullybox.com. That's MULLYBOX.com. Unlock your full potential with Onnit, your go-to for premium supplements, fitness gear, and wellness essentials. Whether you're training hard, recovering faster, or just looking to feel your best, Onnit has the tools you need to perform at your peak. Visit Onnit, that's ONNIT.com, and elevate your mind, body, and spirit today. At Rolls Rolla, we don't just sell wallpaper, we create cohesive, cozy spaces. Our deep understanding of design means every pattern, color, and texture is carefully chosen to complement your home. Plus, we use advanced technology and water-based inks for vibrant, eco-friendly prints, ensuring a healthier environment. Visit rollsrolla.com to transform your space today. That's ROLLSROLLA.com today.
Relax with Hemp Delicious. Organically grown hemp, massively blended with delicious organic herbs, responsibly sourced for their holistic benefits. Each sip offers calming, antioxidant-rich wellness. Brewed just for you. Sip the calm with Hemp Delicious. Find your blend at hempdelicious.com.
At Tusain's, we understand that maintaining a healthy lifestyle can be challenging, especially in today's fast-paced world. That's why our mission is to make fitness accessible to everyone, anywhere. Committed to excellence, we adopt a user-centric approach guided by ergonomics and medical science. With a team of seasoned professionals in R&D, design, and manufacturing, we prioritize quality across our entire product line. Visit Tusains.com today and start your journey to better health. That's TOUSAINS.com.
Ready to bring your vision to life? At Small Rig, every idea, design, and product is inspired by you, the creator. With our industry-first under co-design mode and the Dream Rig free customization project, we unite with global creators to turn big dreams into reality. Whether it's a cage rig or mount, Small Rig's versatile gear is built to elevate your craft. Small Rig, where your creativity meets our innovation. Go to smallrig.com.
Calling all Marvel fans, get Marvel Unlimited and unlock over 30,000 comics featuring your favorite heroes and iconic stories, all available to read anytime, anywhere. Whether you're into classic tales or the latest adventures, there's something for everyone. Don't miss out. Head to marvel.com/unlimited today and start your Marvel journey now. At Angel Bliss, we believe every parent's journey is a beautiful adventure. Our mission is to make it joyful and stress-free with thoughtful, safe, and innovative products. Born from a love for family, we promise peace of mind for parents and comfort for babies. From playtime to bedtime, every Angel Bliss product is designed with care, reliability, and a style to nurture the special bond between parent and child. Angel Bliss, creating happy memories, one baby at a time. Visit us at angelbliss.us. Angel Bliss.
Football is back, and Underdog is the best place to make picks and win money all season long. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like touchdowns, receiving yards, interceptions, and more. Get your picks right, and you could win up to 5,000 times your cash. You can play with as little as $1. Download the app today and sign up with promo code Mosley to score $50 in bonus funds when you play your first $5. That's promo code MOSLEY. Millions of fans have already won billions making picks on Underdog. Will you be next? Underdog, make picks, win money.
Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 HOPE line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. That's 467-369. All right. Hey, welcome back to the Matt Mosley Show. I want to tell you real quick, speaking of Underdog, I'm looking to win some cash today. Let me show you what I did. Tomorrow, of course, I'll have my picks for the weekend done when all the football games are ready. But here are the picks I made today. And just to show you that you can play Underdog all sorts of different ways. Look at this combination. So already I have successfully picked Kylian Mbappe to go over half a goal today in Real Madrid's game. He has 2 on the afternoon. So there's check right there. And because I did the flex picks on Underdog, if I get 2 of these 3 right, I win a little bit of cash. And if I get all of them right, I win even more cash. So I'm already halfway to winning some cash. Now, I just need Odyssey Sims, Baylor's own, to go over 9.5 points this evening in Indiana's game, and or Aaron Judge to have higher than 1.5 hits plus runs plus RBIs as the Yankees take on the Red Sox. I feel like that's a pretty good way to make some money today. So if you're wondering, how do I get started on Underdog? Use that promo code Mosley. Put in $5. They'll give you $50 of bonus funds to play with. And you can make picks like this every single day. And of course, tomorrow, I'll tell you about the college football picks I'm making to try to win even more money on Underdog. Let's get back to Matt Mosley on the Matt Mosley.
It is Matt Mosley. Thank you, Scotty, for that. And sharing some of those Underdog picks. Great to have Underdog with us. And Scotty does a good job of breaking that down. And that's it's fun to play. And you can spend a lot of time on that prepping, and you can do pretty well, make some money on that. So we're glad to have them on the Mosley Show and here at the on the Rogue Media Network. Now, Scotty, we've got Brice Cherry coming up. He wrote a story that has grabbed quite a bit of attention locally as Art Briles is returning for the first public speaking event, really first public event since 2016, since he was fired in 2016. And do I expect, I don't know exactly what to expect. It'll be interesting. And that's why I'm having Brice on, so he and I can kind of go through some of this. We both covered it, talked about it, remember it all too well. And this is surprising to me. And I don't know exactly. The blowback has already started via the Houston Chronicle, but we'll talk about it. And Brice and I, again, we both covered more of it than we wanted to, and have thoughts on it. So we'll work through some of that. Okay, Scotty, it is time for Campus Confidential. What do you have for us today?
Well, of course, of interest, maybe to some Baylor fans, but certainly to fans in Stillwater, GJ Kinney, one of the names floated around, will probably be floated around for every big college football job this season and into the offseason, especially if it's near Texas, where, of course, he's a Texas high school football playing legend, spent his college playing career mostly at Tulsa, which is why he's on this short list of potential Oklahoma State head coaching candidates. There have been rumors, Mosley. I struggled to confirm this, so I hesitate to mention it. There are rumors that some college football sicko types were tracking a private plane that made its way from Tulsa to San Marcos in the last 24 hours, potentially someone to come give GJ Kinney a visit, perhaps to talk him into this job. I wanted to go ahead and let GJ Kinney speak. This is what he said when asked about the rumors earlier today.
But you talked about, you addressed it with your team.
Yeah.
Why do you feel the need to do so?
Well, I think it's just like it is. It is what it is. I mean, they're on Twitter, they're on all that kind of stuff, and it's just part of it, right? So you address it. You know, I'm big on hitting it. You know, not avoiding confrontation, not avoiding noise. Talk to him like a man, and it was great. No issues.
Is it a lot of noise, or have you heard anything from any teams, either you or your agent?
No. We're focused on Arkansas State, and that's it.
Not an outright denial there that he's heard from anyone, Mosley, but trying to keep the focus as you do on his team and his guys, but acknowledged yesterday and then acknowledged again there. Did have to address this with his team that this he is one of the top candidates for these jobs.
Yeah, and I think the funny part of this is like the need you feel to do this. Some coaches would ignore it, and maybe that's the wrong thing. The coaches that do that end up really angering their players later on when they make a move, when they ignore it and act like they're staying. And I even remember Sonny Dykes leaving SMU for TCU. Maybe even when Chad Morris left SMU for Arkansas. Arkansas really has to get this right, and that's the reason Rhett Lashley's name is coming up. I think it's a good name. He's coached in the SEC. I think that's a better name because he was an offensive coordinator at Auburn at one point. I think if they fire Freeze, to me, Lashley's a better fit at Auburn. I think that's a better job than Arkansas. I don't think it's that much better as people might think, but it is a better job. If I was GJ Kinney, I would wait for a better job. And I know sometimes it's like, if you keep waiting, you might not get one. The guy at UTSA may that may be his final opportunity. He may not get another one. Talking about Jeff Traylor, but I don't know. I don't know if Arkansas might be the right job for someone, but none of these names I'm hearing make me think. Like I love Kenny, and if something happened at Baylor, I think Kenny would certainly be in the mix. But Baylor's a way better fit for him than Arkansas. I promise you that, because these guys that are like 36 and 37 or whatever, or 34 or whatever he is, they always think, I'm ready. Golly, there are only a few people at that age that truly are ready for the meat grinder. One of those is Dan Lanning at Oregon. I will admit, incredible. But even Rhett Lashley now has a few years under his belt. I think he's into his 40s. I think he gets it a little bit. I think these guys that try to go into these places, like, I think it'd be so dumb for that guy at OU, Arbuckle, who's 28. I think trying to take at Oklahoma State or one of those other jobs would be so dumb on his part. I think he's in a great spot where he is right now and keeps growing. He's not even 30 years old yet. I mean, he's going to have opportunities if they keep playing well, especially, by the way, Scotty, he may have even before we think. If he wins with this backup quarterback, what an opportunity for him. Because if they lose, it's like, well, it's backup quarterback. If they win, it's like, dude, this guy's incredible. So that's another guy to watch. I mean, Dion would be the fun story to Arkansas. I just don't know. I don't know if he wants it. I don't think Petrino's any kind of long-term answer. He had a good run. He had a good run. But, isn't it funny how when you get further away from old coaches, you start to gain an appreciation for them. And like somebody brought up the fact that Houston Nutt, I'd forgotten about Houston Nutt. He was pretty good. He was pretty good at Arkansas, but they got sick of that. 8 wins. We're only winning 8, 9 games a year. And boy, be careful what you wish for, because then you end up with Sam Pittman, going 32-34 over about 4 or 5 seasons.
Sorry, I clicked the wrong button. I'm back. Okay, here we go. Big 12. This happened during our segment 1, Matt, as you were talking about the Rangers. Big 12, and I think this was expected by most, officially came out with a public reprimand and fine of Colorado after the chants at the game against BYU that you referenced yesterday. Here's the statement. It says, in accordance with the Big 12 Conference principles and standards of sportsmanship, the conference has issued the University of Colorado a public reprimand and a $50,000 fine for the inappropriate chants that occurred during Saturday's football game against BYU. Here's the quote from the commissioner. Hateful and discriminatory language has no home in the Big 12 Conference. While we appreciate Colorado apologizing for the chants that occurred in the stands during Saturday's game, the Big 12 maintains zero tolerance for such behavior. Colorado will receive a $50,000 fine in accordance with our conference policies. So there you go, Matt Mosley. Big 12 officially leveling some discipline on the university after the anti-Mormon chants over the weekend.
It is interesting that the most liberal school in the Big 12 and from probably the most liberal town in the Big 12 is like, I mean, again, not that anybody has the market cornered on any of this stuff. I get it. But it just reminds you that hate doesn't matter what kind of campus or what you're known for, or, those people out at CU, man, they're the most open-minded, or they're loving of all things. And there they are just teeing off on LDS, teeing off on the Mormons. It's interesting. It's interesting. Certainly don't want to get into that, but it just I think we make a mistake in this country when we're like, well, that group's like that group's like that, and then you're like, well, wait a second, that's not what that's why we do. We ought to actually, give everybody a chance and actually hear what people have to say, except hate speech. We don't have to give. There may be we got the First Amendment, but they also have $50,000 fines. And there's also, consequences for the things you say. And I wish, there's no way to do it, but I wish you could grab some of those college kids and grab them by the ears and have them have to go do something, have them, whatever you would do to some kids who just act like idiots. I don't think their lives should be over, or their careers, or even kicked out of school. I'm not like just cancel everybody, but let's have some common decency about us. How about that? All right, Scotty, any more? What do you have to finish with today as we get ready to have Brice jump on with us? What do you think, Brice? In fact, I'm going to run down and put on a beautiful shirt just to prepare, because you never know. Brice may dress up for us. So I'm going to go put on a real nice black kind of golf shirt kind of thing, just to honor a guy like Brice, because I think he'll be expecting me to be pretty formal. Scotty, what else do you have for us?
Well, the NCAA is one step closer to the single transfer portal window. It will be January 2nd through 16th. This is after the initial kind of setup for this last year there was a December window from the 9th to the 28th, and then there's a window April 16th to 25th. They eliminated that spring window recently. There will be no April transfer window for college football. Now they are moving that one window from December to January to make it a little more fair. So, like, I remember this past offseason, right? Teams that didn't make bowl games or teams that didn't even make the college football playoff kind of got a head start on some of those teams that played in the postseason. This is an attempt to alleviate that. And then in addition, any teams that are still playing football in January, their players will have 5 days after the conclusion of the college football playoff to enter the portal if they so choose. But we are just apparently a formality away from that January 2nd through 16th being the new transfer portal window.
Have we run this by Dan Lanning and James Franklin, Ryan Day, just kind of see what they think on this? I can't remember. Was it Ryan Day? I think he was that's unfair to Lanning and Franklin. Okay, I give Franklin enough grief. I think it was Ryan Day who was whining about this. What about the teams in the playoffs? Well, you have a $40 million roster. Really? You want to be out whining about, oh my gosh, SMU gets a head start on us. Baylor may get a head start on us. Okay, sorry. Yeah, we feel horrible, Ryan Day. All right, let's get serious. Brice Cherry, sports editor, Waco Trib, joins us next to talk about this Art Briles situation.
When Central National Bank decided to partner with Baylor women's basketball, we didn't know exactly what that partnership would look like.
What brings you into the bank today?
For the last couple of months, I've been noticing a charge on my account, and I would like to block it.
I see. So you have a charge?
Yes.
And you'd like to block it?
Yes.
I think you should take the charge.
What?
Yeah, I definitely think you should take the charge.
I don't think you understand.
Sometimes you just have to take one for the team.
Is there a manager available?
We love that Coach Collin is all about the team. Once we get the vocabulary down, the sky's the limit.
Central National Bank, proud partner of Baylor Athletics and Baylor women's basketball.
I have Mac Rhodes, director of Baylor Athletics, on the phone. Mac, can you tell Peggy why she should take the charge?
Of course she should take the charge. Wait, are you at the bank again? And who is Peggy?
If you want the best for your body, you want Ascension Providence, the largest sports and orthopedics group in Central Texas. Using innovative and cutting-edge technology, we're able to understand your body better than ever, delivering treatment with precision. And with our fellowship-trained and board-certified doctors, you'll receive excellent care. Work with a team dedicated to your health, wellness, and safety.
So you can perform.
At your best.
Ascension Providence, caring for Texas families for over 120 years.
Are you ready to take control of your health? At 4U Health, we believe wellness and lab testing should be accessible, inclusive, and yes, fun. With our tech-powered at-home lab test, you save time and money while feeling your best. Say goodbye to long waits and office visits. Check your health on your own terms with 4U Health. Visit 4uhealth.com today and free yourself from traditional medicine. That's the number 4uhealth.com. Get ready for epic savings at Best Buy. Right now, you can save up to $700 on select Alienware and Dell gaming products. Perfect for leveling up your gaming experience. Plus, grab the latest Android Google Pixel at an unbeatable price. Don't miss these incredible deals. Shop now at bestbuy.com and upgrade your tech today. At Fullwell, we bring together the expertise of registered dietitians, MDs, and OBGYNs to give you the best fertility support. Our research-backed bioavailable formulas are crafted with your health in mind, ensuring the highest quality and safety. From preconception to pregnancy and beyond, we exceed industry standards with independent testing for harmful contaminants. With our comprehensive practitioner directory, personalized care is always within reach. Fullwell, your trusted partner on your fertility journey. Visit us at fullwellfertility.com. Experience the perfect blend of exquisite craftsmanship and life-changing technology with Gevi. Every product is built with precision, featuring specialized parts that ensure durability, efficiency, and safety. We put every machine through 6,000 rigorous tests to guarantee long-lasting performance. With cutting-edge technology and a commitment to energy efficiency, Gevi makes your life easier, greener, and more convenient. Upgrade your everyday with Gevi. Visit us at gevi.com to discover more. That's gevi.com.
Have you ever watched true crime television and wondered, how did they get that story?
I can show you. I was a producer for 48 Hours on CBS News.
In my exclusive tell-all book, I'll take you where no audience has ever gone before. Don't miss out. Secure your copy of Killer Story, The Truth Behind True Crime Television today. Available everywhere books are sold.
With San, owning iconic furniture no longer requires paying a premium. We use the finest materials like Italian top-grain leather, known for its durability and luxurious feel, and apply meticulous attention to detail in every piece we create. Our replicas are crafted with the same care and precision as the originals, but a price that makes them accessible. With over 15,000 satisfied customers worldwide, we've proven that high-quality furniture doesn't have to come with a high price tag. Explore our collection today at san.com.
At Covers & All, we've revolutionized protective solutions with cutting-edge, customizable covers, tarps, and curtains. Using advanced tech fabrics that are 100% waterproof, UV tear, and abrasion resistant, we ensure lasting durability with hand-sewn double-stitch seams. Our commitment to quality, precision engineering, and customizable options is unmatched. With vertically integrated operations and express shipping, we deliver premier protection at affordable prices. Visit coversandall.com today for the perfect fit, guaranteed to last.
Hellhound Country, available anywhere you get your podcasts. Protect your online privacy with NordVPN. Browse securely, access content from anywhere, and keep your data safe with military-grade encryption. Whether at home or on the go, NordVPN ensures your digital freedom. Stay secure. Download NordVPN today at nordvpn.com. That's NORDVPN.com.
It is Matt Mosley, the Matt Mosley Show on the Rogue Media Network. And boy, I pleased to be joined. Brice Cherry is joining us. Oh, there he is. He's been doing podcasts. He had a podcast earlier today. Always love hearing Brice talk about all the big games coming up. We do have Brice, a member. We've got a China Spring graduate with me, Scotty Swingler, as a producer on this show. And so I guess they're off to a little bit of a slow start this year. Is that accurate?
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me all right?
We you sound great. You look great. Let me see. What kind of shirt is that? Do we have is that, oh my goodness. Oh man. We're off to a rough start, but yes.
Yeah. Chad Conine was talking about playoff baseball happening today, and I was like, dude, why you gotta bring that up?
That's rough.
Yeah. No, I mean, yes, China Spring is off to a little bit of a rough start, but they're young. I got a chance to see them against Bastrop earlier this year, and it was the classic tale of two halves kind of game where China Spring played lights out for a half and not so well in the second half. So they're learning.
Well, you wrote this story that I'm sure if you're measuring what's done the most downloads or hits online, I think this one is outpacing everything. and that's that Art Briles is speaking at the Texas Sports Hall of Fame. And when someone forwarded your story, and of course I take the Waco trip, and so generally I'm the one who finds these things, but Scotty saw it, sends it to me, and I have to admit, my initial response to him was something along the lines of, I'm not sure this will actually happen, because I guess we've been down this road so much, Brice, of like him almost getting a job or going to Grambling or going to this and that. And like, there's usually a ton of blowback, but I guess the more you think about this, it's in Waco. As you mentioned in the story, he still has a ton of fans and positive feelings toward him. This thing's going to sell out. I mean, I think I heard today they hadn't even publicized this thing. Maybe just based on your story alone, word kind of leaked out. I think it's almost already a sellout. And so I did think you did a nice job on the headline, by the way, because I think most headline writers would have just made this a Briles headline. And so you gave it the balanced touch because there is a former Baylor quarterback another
a pretty good one. A
really good one. You did go ahead and include Brice in the headline. And a lot of times I explain to people, we don't write the headlines. But in your case, sometimes, Brice, as a sports editor, you probably do have a say in the headlines. You and I have a lot of thoughts on this, but what's been the feedback you're getting around town to this story? It seems mostly people kind of are excited that he's coming back, and tons of people want to go to this. You've already seen the Houston Chronicle has reacted with a column, very negative reaction to this. What kind of reaction are you getting?
I would say around Waco, as you said, the reaction is going to be pretty positive to Art coming back and speaking. This is his first public speaking event in Waco since he was fired from Baylor. He has been, to Waco for some other events, including a reunion of the 2013-2014 teams last year over at George's. But I think so. First of all, it's not a Baylor event. It's a Texas Sports Hall of Fame event. And it's funny, just to, show how the sausage is made a little bit. I had a call from Bruce Geetson, who's on the board for the Texas Sports Hall of Fame. He puts together a lot of those Lone Star luncheons that they do. I had a call from him yesterday morning, and I was doing something else, and it went to voicemail. And then I went over to Dave Aranda's press conference, and then I went to the office, and I had forgotten to call Bruce back. Well, that was what he was calling me about, was to let me know about the Briles event, Briles and Brice, as you said. Then I happened to see it on the Texas Sports Hall of Fame's Facebook. And I said, oh, and my reaction was, holy crap. I mean, I was pretty stunned, but the Texas Sports Hall of Fame is in the business of using those events to make money for the museum. And as you said, there's no question this is going to sell out because Art remains very popular. Polarizing for sure. But certainly there are still a lot of supporters here in Waco. And Bruce, I called Bruce then after I did see the Facebook thing, and it got some comments from him for the story. But he said that Art just wanted to say thanks for the support that he has had in Waco.
Oh man. And the thing is, Brice, like if you or I were conducting or moderating this as news guys, we would know we would have this internal thing in us that we've got to bring some of that up. I would think they don't want to touch any of that.
No question.
And so this is going to be, although like I do think there'll be, it's kind of like, what have you been up to, Art? Right? Like, what have you been doing? I mean, some of that will be addressed. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to know how to feel about this because I read Bruce's comments and I still keep in touch with Art, but it was kind of like this could have a healing effect. And okay, well, I think the question is, okay, healing for who? Like maybe the Baylor people never stopped loving Art Briles. So I don't know what needs to heal there. This is not a Baylor event, as you said, although I guarantee you they tipped Baylor off that this was coming.
They did.
And so I don't know, like, I guess the only thing that could heal anything is time going by. You had that picture that went up on the screen at a Baylor, like a hype video early in the season. I think it was an Auburn game, and they had a picture of Art up there for a second or two, and the crowd went crazy.
Yeah, that's actually been their pregame video all year at home, and Art's been on it every time, which I found somewhat fascinating. Certainly a change from years past. I don't know if that means that some of the ice is melting, so to speak, between the relationship, with Baylor and Art Briles. I do think there are things that you will never see, like you're not going to see an Art Briles statue. I just don't think that's ever going to happen. To your point, I think it will be a very pro Briles crowd at this event. It'll be interesting to see if there are any like protesters outside of the event, or if enough times passed where people are just like, do I even have the energy anymore? I don't know. Like I said, it'll be very interesting to gauge the reaction. But yeah, in terms of the event itself, I'm sure it will not touch on a lot of what happened at the end of Art Briles' time at Baylor, and rather focus on the good times and the winning and certainly the 2013 and 2014 seasons. Since Brice Petty is part of the event, they'll talk about those Big 12 championship teams.
It's because that'll be the huge elephant in the room. Isn't it interesting, as forgiving or as we are in some areas, and how much some people hate cancel culture? Although people hate cancel culture unless they're doing the canceling, is what I've noticed. They don't mind canceling if they're mad enough about something. But Art couldn't. I've said this before, and I may have told you this too. Art had one chance to get back into college football. The Grambling thing didn't work out. I think Mike Leach was one of the few people that would have taken all the arrows, and I don't know if Mississippi State would have supported Mike in this totally, but Mike was in the process of trying to add Art to his staff in some way. I don't know if it was like a consultant or whatever. Now, interestingly, his son-in-law, Jeff Levy, would go on to be the head coach. But I mean, like, we're talking about a public event where he's going to speak. And in some places, even as soon as like last year or 2 years ago, when Levy had Art like down the field after the game, that turned into a big deal. And people were like wanting Levy fired over that. So the people who sort of have this attitude of, it's been 10 years, it's fine. I mean, like, I'm with you. You just never know. Like what again, I'm a little surprised there hasn't been more blowback. And I'm a little surprised, like somebody at ESPN's gonna wake up and go, oh man, okay. Now what I don't know, some of those folks that wrote all the books and everything, like I don't even know if Paula Levine works at ESPN anymore. I can't remember if Schlaball was in, there were a few people that were prominently involved in that coverage. People forget, like Texas Monthly is the one that like they ripped that whole thing open with the Sam Owachku that whole story. That's what lit everything on fire. And what's interesting is they never really did much of a follow-up, but that was the story. And of course, ESPN took over, and I think the Baylor people that support Briles think of ESPN as the evil empire. And not that they don't have their things. I think they're very open. I think you can criticize a lot of things about it, but I always remind people this story, this stuff probably doesn't happen if not for that initial Texas Monthly story with that player. And again, that was Art, not to rehash all of this, but that was Art probably, and I think they blamed some of that on Chris Peterson at Boise State, but they had gotten where they were taking too many chances, right? And they had success with that kid from Penn State. I think his name was Phil Taylor, and he was a pretty good player. And it's kind of like, well, wait, this Boise State, and I don't think they did their due diligence on that kid. He was probably had some more red flags than they let on. But yeah, this will be interesting, Brice. And I think both you and I will want to be over there monitoring this situation, and probably, we'll both request I don't know what kind of media Art will do. But even to this day, I feel strange, even though I'm still friends with him and talk to him. I just know, like, I've thought about, should I get Art on? And the news hound in me says, yeah. But I also have this, relationship with Baylor. The whole thing is just, it brings up so many things. It brings up, like, when you sit down, if you do interview Art going into this, Brice, you'll feel compelled to ask about that stuff, right?
Oh, no question. And, you mentioned us being over there. I know Zach Smith, who covers Baylor for us, our beat writer for Baylor football, is planning to be there. I told him yesterday that I didn't know how I felt about going because even though I think it's newsworthy and the Tribs should certainly have a presence there, personally, I was pretty critical of Art in the end. And you hit on some of the reasons why. I thought the Pepper Hamilton report was damning. I like the people that say, how could they fire him? I'm like, how could you read that and not fire him? Like, I don't understand. So I thought it was one of the worst scandals in college sports history. And one of the things I wrote back then was that at the very least, Art was guilty of recklessness in recruiting, like with some of the characters that he brought into this program and sort of the wishy-washy discipline that they had among that program. I actually, while I was writing this story yesterday, it has been years since I looked at it, but I pulled up the Pepper Hamilton report again just to read over some of it and quoted part of it. Again, the Briles supporters don't want to hear it, but I don't know how you can read any of that and go, this is okay, because it wasn't okay. And the board at Baylor had every right to do what they did. And I'll stand by that unpopular take here in Waco, Texas, because he is still much beloved, but I don't know that I want to go to an event with Art Briles where it's just all warm and fuzzy and touchy-feely and let's remember the good times, because I remember how it ended.
Yeah.
And to your point about the Texas Monthly article, that article, which I would say was kind of helicopter journalism, which you and I know that term, where a reporter comes in and writes a story and then leaves, and the rest of us are there to. They did a good job reporting the story, but it was very critical of the Waco media and like, how could this happen under our noses? And there's things that I'm like, dude, it was a sealed indictment. Like are we supposed to know everything? You know, like, so, but things, it was a rough time to be on the Baylor beat. And so am I still bitter? Probably.
Yeah.
But we did change the way we did things at the Trib after that, because after, in the wake of all of that, suddenly we in sports were checking arrest reports and checking, grand jury indictments to see if names were popping up that we should know about. We weren't really doing that before. We were checking injury reports and that kind of thing. But so maybe it forced us to do our job better. But at the same time, I'm not sure the Wachaku thing, unless you just really had someone that was a good source and told you about it. I don't know how you would have known about that with a sealed indictment.
Yeah, I think the criticism of the report was that it was disproportionately, like the aftermath and the handling. They put so much on football when it was a campus wide. That's where they come in with, oh, he was scapegoated and all of that. And I think also huge criticism on Judge Starr for even bringing Pepper Hamilton in the first place. I think some lawyers would say that was a bad move. I mean, I guess it's a bad move if you wanted to uncover, but it was all so bad and so shocking. And I'm with you. Now, I think where the board got in trouble was they didn't like how they were being portrayed. And so somebody gave them the advice, hey, go meet with the Morning News and probably the Waco Trib at the time too, and just go ahead and shell out here, go ahead and give them some of these horrible details. So it was like it wasn't enough just to provide the report. Then the board said, well, Art's coming back. He's firing back at us. So let's release some of these sordid details. And then it became a very venomous back and forth between the deal. But again, these regents, I mean, you got people from all backgrounds. They're not really, honestly, a lot of them weren't prepared for something this serious and some of the more reasonable, there were people, Brice, saying in that room, like, wait a second, do we know this? Do we know this? And those people were being shouted down by, do you see what these documents say? And so I think the people who argue against it think that there was no time to even have a conversation. So again, I've heard, I'm talking like federal judges, federal attorneys, they still want to talk about this. And I'm kind of like you at times. I'm kind of like, okay, I feel like we've done this. I was more critical probably in the end of Judge Starr, because there was just I didn't really love that they tried to give him like a soft landing. Like he was in the middle of this. He was over a lot of this. I'm not saying he knew everything, but it was kind of like, well, let's put him over at the law school. And I'm kind of like, hey, if you're going to fire everybody, you probably should just kind of clean house. And in the end, they did. But it was always strange that Ian McCaw and Art, there would be a document or there'd be something come out and their response to it would be like, okay, we've had our names cleared, right? And you're like, wait a second, I don't think that's exactly what that meant. But you're right, Brice. Even what you just said, even though you, I think, had a pretty reasonable take about why you might not go over there, there'll be people that would hear this and go, Brice is a hater. Brice is part of the woke liberal media, right? I mean, like not having a clue of what your actual feelings are politically or anything. But I think that would be the response to some of this. So it'll be a scene. Yeah.
No, it absolutely will be. And I think that's the way a lot of people feel about media in general, no matter what your political leaning, whatever your take is. I think that's a lot of times the way people think about the media. But yeah, I mean, we are called to cover the team. We're not called to be fans. We're not called to be cheerleaders. do we enjoy covering a winning team? Of course we do. Like, it's more fun to cover a winning team, but you can't have a win at all costs mentality. And I'm afraid that's the way it became at Baylor under Art Briles. And I think a lot of people that support him are blind to some of the reasons why that Baylor had to let him go. They're just, they support him that much, and man, it's nice to have people support you and love you. I mean, who doesn't want that? But at the same time, be sensitive to the victims. Be sensitive to the people whose lives were, ravaged by this university-wide. There's no question it was university-wide sexual assault scandal, and but the football program was a big part of it.
Yeah, I think that's why to my ear, any kind of thought about this could help in the healing, I kind of I'm a little bit cringy on that because but you're right. I think people are like, this guy, some people were, I had somebody on recently, I had Phil Bennett on, and there's just some folks you it's like politics. You can't really sit down. You might have an interesting discussion, but you can't like make somebody see it a certain way. On this Riles thing, for us to be, it's not like, I probably, have stayed in better touch with him than you have, but at the same time, I remember people were looking at me in the Dallas, area to go, how is this guy who's been open about his Baylor fandom, and of course I wasn't covering Baylor at the time, and it's alma mater, how is he going to react to this? Well, I couldn't react by saying, oh, nothing wrong. Baylor did him, and it's like when I would try to voice that, some Baylor people, of course, just did not want to hear any of that. All right, Brice, just a little bit real quick on the this actual team. There's a season going on. Bears have a big one against K-State. All of these feel big, but in light of just the defense almost kind of backtracking in Stillwater, I know that was they were throwing haymakers, halfback passes, although, hey, Samford did the same thing, right? With a little bit of a success. I don't know, because I think people want to say, well, they have the talent. There's too many breakdowns, or they're not communicating, or whatever. And to me, at some point, you just go, if you're giving up all these points and the quarterbacks are constantly running onto you, and you're giving up, in Oklahoma State was a dreadful team going into that game, and they still put up a ton of yards on you. At some point, I don't want to act like this is that 3-9 year, but I think people got sick of that year. Well, we still have championship players. Well, then what is going on then? Do you have horrible coaching? What's happening? And this week after week of, I know we're good, I know we can do this, but Brice, you're not seeing it. So this becomes an enormous game, and quite honestly, more than most head coaches, these defensive limitations, and it's all on this head coach. It's not, who are you going to blame it on? Pallage or the new secondary, the cornerbacks coach? Every bit of that is on this head coach.
No question. I think you make some great points. Wasn't it Parcells who said, you are what your record is? Right now they're 3-2, which is kind of up and down. And if they continue to be up and down the rest of the season, I don't think it would surprise any one of us, because like you said, they have a very explosive offense and a defense that could lead to a lot of shootouts. They might win some of those shootouts, but I went into the Oklahoma State game with the attitude of, they could still run off 8 wins in a row, and it wouldn't really surprise me. They do have that kind of talent. And the league is, of course, wide open. But certainly they took a step back defensively against Oklahoma State. They have yet to have a game where they put it all together on both sides of the ball, and then also special teams, which can win and lose games for you too. And you make a great point about the defense. It's got to be on Aranda because at this point, I think when he's listed as this defensive genius, you kind of have to roll your eyes because what has Baylor shown in the Aranda time that would lead anybody to believe that? I'm not saying he doesn't know ball. I'm not saying that Baylor hasn't done some good things while he's here. And a lot of people want to just wash away the Big 12 championship season from Aranda's resume. You can't do that. A lot of people like to say, it was with Matt Rule's players. Well, yeah, but you still have to coach them. Aranda still gets credit for that in my mind, in my book. But, and certainly last season, they went on this run at the end of the year and played great. But they have not gotten it done defensively. I mean, there's just no other way to put it. And they looked good the week before against Arizona State on defense, but you can't turn around and then give up 20 points and a half to Oklahoma State the next week. As you said, that was a terrible, terrible team. I don't care how much emotion Oklahoma State had going into that game after, their head coach was fired. That's just not acceptable. So what are we going to see Saturday against K-State? Who knows, man? Who knows? At this point, I think this is, got to be one of the most unpredictable teams in college football.
I agree. And it stinks is that this could be like the Heisman race is wide open. And if Baylor had gotten off to a hotter start and had just a decent defense, like Sawyer by now with his numbers could have played his way into the conversation, but he can't because the defense is so bad and they're just not very good. They're just not a great team. And they look like a team that might be fortunate to be like 7-5, right? And you can't, I guess Robert won it when they only won. Did they end up winning 9 games?
I want to say 8
with the bowl game. Did it get to 9? Anyway, 8 or 9. But he doesn't have the pizzazz quite that Robert had. Robert caught everybody's attention and just captured everybody. Maybe the season before, and then of course they refused to run this quarterback. And like Robert had all that speed, and so there was a lot of that. But maybe they did run him a tiny bit against Oklahoma State, so maybe some of that will change. Brice, I knew it'd be good, and I saw that story yesterday, and I was like, man, we need to discuss that. You and I are thinking along the same lines, so know that you're not the only one. I mean, yeah, you can admire what Briles did, and you can even like Art Briles, but also kind of understand why his time had to come to an end. But you can't say that to certain folks, and so I try not to bring it up, but when he's coming to town, it's hard to ignore. And I'll probably go, but I think you bring up some interesting points. If you're uncomfortable, I'll sit over there with you if you decide to come. Okay?
I just feel like I'd have to take a shower afterward, and I'm not sure I want to be there and experience the love. And I'm not saying that people should hate Art Briles. I am not saying that. And like you said, I always had really good dealings with Art. I liked him as a person. I'll never forget he and Jan opening up their home to me one time to come do a story. They were very reluctant to do this story. I had to talk them into it about their love story. I did the Jan and Art love story and how they met and that whole thing. And it turned out well. So I'll never stop being grateful for that. But again, I mean, I can see why he had to go, and ultimately, I mean, was Art Briles like there going, yeah, let's recruit a bunch of bad dudes? No, but he took chances. He was reckless, and the college football coach these days is the CEO, and the buck stops with them, and so it had to stop with Art, and he took the fall. His son is still coaching. His son-in-law is still coaching. A lot of those other coaches are still coaching, but he's not. But I think he's done okay for himself.
Yeah, certainly from a financial standpoint, but I think it was devastating to him to just not. I think there was a thought early on that maybe he could do like a Tom Rinaldi type interview and like maybe say some things that would he could go back in public again and that kind of thing. And quite like you said in that story, this really becomes the first big public thing he's done besides coaching high school football. But like as far in Waco, Texas, for all the folks to show up. It'll be very interesting, if nothing else. And Brice Petty not really getting as much attention. That's a dang good quarterback.
Right?
Brice is kind of yeah. But you did include him in the headline. I'll when I talk to Brice, I'll tell the other Brice that you put him in there. And I was trying to explain to someone about not writing the headlines, and the worst ever for me ever was waking up one morning and Charlie Waters was crushing me on the Norm Hitzka show, and I'm like, what is going on? And I got up and looked at the paper because he's like, I guess Mosley should go work for the Inquirer, and the headline on a I thought a pretty reasonable story of Charlie was saying they're going to put the triplets in before the old guys like Cliff Harris and Charlie and all. And I written a story about that. And the headline from the morning news was Waters rips Jones. Waters rips Jerry. And, nobody wants to hear my name's the only thing close to that, right? Nobody wants to hear. I don't write the headlines. So I'm sure it's happened to you over the years, but yes.
It has, as you said. I mean, newspapers have changed a lot over the years, and there's a lot fewer of us. And pretty much all of my stories, I'm writing the headline as well anymore. But yes, it has happened. But a good headline, we're getting into some journalism weeds here, but a good headline accurately reflects the story. And so in your case, that one certainly didn't, but yeah, it should tell you what the story's about and not be sensational.
Okay. I'm sneaky good at coming up with headlines. So if you're ever in a pinch, just shoot me a quick text. All right.
I like it.
Box. Okay.
Yeah. For our big game day headlines, we call those a hammer headline. The big, 1 or 2 word, headline. And so I'm always on deadline going, what's the hammer headline for this game? So I might be texting you.
Okay, Saturday afternoon, I'll just unsolicited. I'm going to send you a few just options that you might.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. All right, Brice, I appreciate you, man. Thanks for doing this, and
absolutely,
I will encourage everybody to subscribe to the Waco Trib like I do.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
There he goes, Brice Cherry, sports editor at the Waco Trib, and Scotty, that was good. I thought, I think. You can't be, it's like there's some subjects that people do not want any balance on, and I understand that that is a topic that is rife with just all sorts of things. But I thought Brice was very upfront, honest about, and it makes total sense what he said. I wish I was trying to get the timestamp on it because we may use some of that later, Scotty, but it's a fair point. It's like, knowing how awful that whole thing was, and not even disliking art, but then can you go over and take a part in an event that's like more of just, let's just talk about the good times? Well, that story is such that you can't really approach it like that. Like, oh, we're only going to talk about these few years. Was that an incredible time? Was that maybe the most fun time in Baylor football history? Yes. I think the answer is yes. Was that the most awful ending? I mean, we've had several scandals, unfortunately. I guess the most awful was a player actually being murdered by a teammate. But it was horrible. It was horrible, and it's okay to say it. It's okay to recognize that both of those things can be true. And if somebody doesn't want to go over there, I totally get it. And there will be more blowback on this. I'm not going to be the one doing it, I don't think, but it's coming. It's coming, and it already came in the form of one column today. I'm sorry, Scotty, were you about to say something? You were with me for a second, and now you're not.
Brice was great. I do need to, as your producer, stat correct. Baylor did win 9 regular season games with RG3 and finished 10-3 after the Alamo Bowl.
Got 9 regular season. Okay, I like that. You're playing the role of what they call him, stat boy.
Stat boy, that's right. And I will never forget it because that was my freshman year at Baylor. So I remember every single one of those.
Oh, every single one of those wins. Yeah, for a minute I thought you were talking about Tony Reale. You remember his stat stuff. Before he became on Around the Horn was a show he did for many, many years. All right, man, that was good. Wow, we're toward the end of the program here. Tell you what, let's we need to finish up, and we'll talk about the Brazos Landing, some of our incredible sponsors, and then I got a couple of nuggets on the Cowboys. This is their off day, but boy, they enter extremely. I mean, this is an enormous stretch if they are to stay on the fringes of the playoff conversation we discuss next.
When Central National Bank decided to partner with Baylor women's basketball, we were hoping Coach Collin would bring that championship mindset to do whatever she has to do to take our workplace culture to the next level.
Well, these donuts are pretty good.
Guys, how we doing?
We're good, Coach.
Craig! What are you doing?
What do you mean?
You have to dunk it.
So far, I think our employees are really enjoying it.
Not everything's a basketball thing.
Did you say something, Craig?
No, ma'am.
That's what I thought.
Dude, I think she likes you.
Central National Bank, proud partner of Baylor Athletics and Baylor women's basketball.
If you want the best for your body, you want Ascension Providence, the largest sports and orthopedics group in Central Texas. Using innovative and cutting-edge technology, we're able to understand your body better than ever, delivering treatment with precision. And with our fellowship-trained and board-certified doctors, you'll receive excellent care. Work with a team dedicated to your health, wellness, and safety.
So you can perform.
At your best.
Ascension Providence, caring for Texas families for over 120 years.
Football is back, and Underdog is the best place to make picks and win money all season long. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like touchdowns, receiving yards, interceptions, and more. Get your picks right, and you could win up to 5,000 times your cash. You can play with as little as $1. Download the app today and sign up with promo code Mosley to score $50 in bonus funds when you play your first $5. That's promo code MOSLEY. Millions of fans have already won billions making picks on Underdog. Will you be next? Underdog, make picks, win money.
Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play-and-get-terms_DFS_.html for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 HOPE line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. That's 467-369. That's right. Promo code Mosley on Underdog will get you $50 of bonus funds when you put in $5. By the way, I am looking like I'm going to win some money today. Here was my play that I put in this morning. Kylian Mbappe for Real Madrid. All he needed was 1 goal. He actually got 3 today. I took this screenshot when he had 2. He got 3 today. So I have cleared that benchmark. Now, because Underdog lets me do a flex pick, if 2 of these 3 picks are correct, I win cash. If all 3 are correct, I win even more cash. So I just need 1 or both of Odyssey Sims, Baylor's greatest point guard of all time, perhaps, to score higher than 9.5 points, or Aaron Judge to have higher than 1.5 hits plus runs plus RBIs. I will update you tomorrow, but I'm fairly confident that when we get to bed tonight, I will have won some cash by playing games on Underdog. You can do that too. Again, use that promo code Mosley if you want to put in $5 and get $50 in bonus funds to play yourself. And as I bring back the Mosley, want to see if he saw the news this weekend. If you were to play Underdog and make some NFL picks in your game, well, you would get to pick Dillon Gabriel because it was just announced the Browns are making a change at quarterback, and it is not Shedeur Sanders. It is Dillon Gabriel who will get the start Sunday for the Cleveland Browns.
Okay, interesting news there. And, man, we got recruiting news coming in. Isn't that amazing? That guy's going to be a starter. Oklahoma was just like, yeah, I mean, you were okay. You lost to Baylor, Dillon. Why don't you head on up to Oregon? And they were just so ready to start the Jackson Arnold era that they were just like, don't let the doorknob hit you on the way out of town. And this guy's now a starting quarterback in the NFL. Now, is he going to be great? Has he earned it? I don't know. But he is. He's about to get that opportunity. And I'm sure, I mean, the hot takers of America, which I'll have some takes from time to time. I'm not like one time that Athletic was brand new, Scotty, and that was what somebody wanted to know. And I was kind of interested in writing for them. And I screwed it up because I told them like what I wanted to do and write columns. And I don't know, for some reason I got offended by it was like the main editor that was starting the Athletic. And he's like, we don't do hot takes. And for some reason, it just hit me all wrong. And I should have been like, oh, I don't do those, or I will do this. And my response was like, well, I don't know. I mean, hot takes are pretty good. Whatever I said did not in that moment ingratiate me with the whoever was starting the Athletic. So perhaps a bad move, but whatever. You live and learn. If I thought hard enough, he was like a top guy at SI back in the day, and his name is not coming to memory. But Dillon Gabriel, again, the hot takers, though, the reason I brought that up, Scotty, is that there will be those that now say Shedeur maybe has been wronged here or something. And there are really no great options.
Oh,
Your first option is Joe Flacco. Like, what are your options? And I'm sure they brought somebody else in. I can't think of their other quarterbacks,
it will surely be a topic of discussion on
my God.
Get Up and First Take tomorrow. They will be talking about this. And is Shedeur getting? Listen, the Shedeur thing has been so bizarre even since the draft. But the bottom line is, I believe in him as a person. I could see the talent on the football field clearly, but I feel like if he had just completely outshined Dillon Gabriel all fall, he would be starting Sunday. So I am wondering, I don't think, and maybe I'm wrong, Matt, you've covered NFL teams a lot longer than I have. I would be shocked if an organization thought Shedeur was clearly better and yet was starting Gabriel just because they picked him earlier in the draft. That would shock me. And maybe there is some ego there that where the owners say, well, you got to put Gabriel out there first. But I would rather assume that Sanders hasn't stood out above Gabriel enough in play to earn it.
The coach, there were a lot of people that did not seem that thrilled when they selected Shedeur. If you looked in their draft room, there weren't a lot of fist pumping. And I think when you see a team take two quarterbacks that closely together, it creates a deal where they couldn't agree. So they ended up taking them both, and that's the most Browns thing ever. So, yeah, there you go on that. I'm not even going to bring this one thing up. We just had some breaking news on the University of Texas. Shocking, Scotty. They've landed like some kind of huge commit. Who saw this coming? Surely not the University of Texas. Did they really? I think they get enough good news, so I'm going to leave that alone. This news broke about 15 minutes ago, and the reason I'm bringing it up is because earlier today we were talking about Bruce Bochy, and I was talking about how beloved Ron Washington was, and I loved Ron Washington, and Ron Washington and his smoking all the time, and that leather jacket. He had the greatest leather jacket. He just was a neat. He was so old school baseball guy, and he was just a guy who had never had the opportunity to be a manager, and when he finally got it, he was so good at it. He was really good at it with the Rangers, and so hated how it ended. It ended in some kind of weird scandal where he had to apologize for having an affair or something. It was one of the oddest things I've ever attended. Talk about weird press conferences. I was just like looking around like, why are we here? I mean, like it's not great to have an affair, but I mean, I'm afraid some of this has happened in baseball over the years. And these guys weren't having press conferences to discuss it. But Ron Washington, as of 15 minutes ago, ESPN had the news. He missed the majority of this season while undergoing quadruple bypass surgery. He will not be returning as manager of the Los Angeles Angels. They will also not get, interim manager Ray Montgomery will not get the full-time manager role in 2026. So we will see where they go. I mean, Angels have gone through, Brad Osmus, Joe Madden. Remember Madden is the longtime Rays manager. Phil Nevin, whose son played at Baylor, I think. Kyle Nevin, was that his name? So anyway, it's some news on that front. So anyway, we'll see where all that heads up. But I wanted to, Washington turns 74 in April. He was the oldest manager in the majors this past season. He last managed a game on June 19th. So I have a hard time thinking that he'll be back as a manager, maybe as like a advisory role. I'd bring him to the Rangers. I'd bring him in. I just don't think he's ready. Rangers, if you're wondering who might be next, one person they're going to take a look at that they had thought of as a possible successor of was Skip Shoemaker, who had a really good year a couple of years ago with the Marlins, and then they had an ownership change or management change or whatever, and they overhauled that. The landing, it is the Brazos Landing. Let's remember, I'll be in town Thursday. That's going to be fun. We'll be out by the river. Come by, say hi. People are kind of getting to know the new show. I was talking to somebody over at Texas Sports Hall of Fame today. They're like, what are you doing? What's the latest? And so I've got them all excited about the new show. We'll be doing a live show at the Brazos Landing, and that's where we finish up every day, talking about the Brazos Landing. Scotty loved the food the other day. He's had it before, and Scotty knows restaurants. He's worked at restaurants. He's worked at high-end restaurants. He knows how to bartend. He knows all that stuff, and so he knows a good one when he sees it. And boy, did he have a great time over at the Brazos Landing. And he's a thin guy, but he's not opposed to a good fried platter. You know, gator bites, catfish, shrimp, hush puppies. You know, you judge a place by its hush puppies is really how I do it. And like, there's a place in Dallas that has crawfish hush puppies. The ones over at Brazos Landing are those real circular, pretty big. They're beautiful. They're nice. Stagecoach Inn had great hush puppies for generations, and they screwed around and messed it up. And I think they've tried to bring the Stagecoach Inn. Again, you talk about fumbling the ball. The Stagecoach Inn, which only was in existence for like 100 years, a few years ago, they got new management or ownership, and they go, let's call this something else. Yeah, let's call it something different than what people have loved for like 75 years. That's good. That's smart. Let's rebrand why everybody stopped in Salado forever. All right, Scotty, you didn't know I was going to get all worked up about the Stagecoach Inn, but Scotty's parents went to Baylor. They know. Scotty grew up knowing what the Stagecoach Inn. Why do you mess with that? Why would you mess with a good thing? All right, our time is up. Our time has come to an end, and we have to pay a bunch of extra money to stay on the stream past 3 o'clock. In fact, I think alarm bells go off and rates go up. It's like by $100 a minute. It's a really rough deal. But you know, blame it on AT&T. That's all we have for today. Huge show planned for tomorrow. We'll be excited to have you, and appreciate everybody who's been a part of this. There was a birthday I wanted to shout out. Oh, shout out to my great-grandfather. Today, Scotty, I was at this awesome school dedication. They've named the elementary school in Anna, Texas. He was a teacher there. Then he became superintendent of Collin County Schools. And L. Dow Hendricks Elementary, thank you. Thank you for what you did. I was up there for that this morning. And my 102-year-old grandmother, one of his 3 surviving children, was there with me. So very, very cool moment to see that come to fruition. So shout out to the Anna Independent School District. Appreciate you guys. That's awesome. And shout out to Scotty. Scotty's always great. Love doing this with him. And I'm not like the easiest person to work with, although I'm getting better. I think people kind of enjoy the experience, but for years it was not as pleasant as it might be now. All right. It's all the time we have. We'll see you tomorrow at 1. Good night, everybody.